How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to ReWrite, where we are on track for the next ending. We haven't quite reached the official path yet, but we're getting pretty close, so there's a decent chance we'll reach it today. So, just because, again, with the first two playthroughs, we've seen most of the scenes, at least as far as I'm aware. Then again, I was surprised when I remember in the past we did an event that was like where we kind of worked with Yoshino or like accompanied him to do something. We went on this kind of like weird trip where we fell into a hole randomly and had to like climb out of it. And I believe it was rather scandalous even, if I recall correctly. And then this time we had a whole incident with like stray cats that came into the room and like had an interesting interaction with Lucia. So that was really interesting to see. So we're going to continue forward and kind of see what other interesting like insights and shenanigans come along before we really get launched into the actual plot. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm still interested to see how things go and what your opinions are and what you're thinking about the series as a whole. And also I just want to hear your thoughts in general. But thank you so much for being here. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for your understanding through this whole series. I'm looking forward to continuing our trek through the grand story and telling of this great story. Honestly, collection of stories, but like it's a visual novel. I see why it's so popular. It really sticks with you. And I recently heard there's an anime. I was actually kind of curious. Is that worth watching at the end of this? Like the thing is that's weird to me is I've heard about this visual novel, never heard a thing about the anime. Even with like Muv-Luv, that's had a not great track record with anime, I'd heard about the fact that it had an anime adaptation well before like I even got close to finishing the first game. So the fact that no one's talked about the anime, I'm guessing it wasn't great. Oh well. Anyway, visual novels are always better anyway, so it doesn't really matter. All right, let's jump right in. Oh, well, something's going on here that's new. Yoshino! What are we mad about this time? Huh? How do you like that? Huh? So we're actually having our fight, huh? Come on, it's your turn.
Tennouji!
Thwack. Ugh, gotta be pretty bad, but I can feel passion in it. You're good. This still isn't your all, is it? And so I shall. Prepare to meet your maker. Two men clash together, beads of sweat flying between us. God, I can feel the impact on my skin, as I expected my sworn friend. Now, it's my turn to return the favor. Burning passion emanates from the very depths of my seething soul. I focus at all one point, Yoshino.
相変わらず仲がいい二人だね。偏った属性の人が聞くと誤解しちゃいそうな会話だけれど。
I like how they're not only in attendance, but they're having a very passive, like, oh, this is fine conversation.
意味わかりません。わけわかんないです。
Clear blue sky, a yellow sun warming our skin, the beautiful weather begs for an outing during lunch break. Students pace around the school grounds, playing various games with each other. The special kind of ruckus a lunch break brings doesn't change between elementary and high school. And so, lured outside by the beautiful weather, Yoshino and I couldn't avoid clashing against each other. At first, we wanted to play some dodgeball, but we couldn't find enough people. All we managed to find was a ball. In the end, we figured there's no need for others and went for it anyway. A special one-on-one variant of dodgeball. Well, perhaps throwing a ball at each other is nothing new in the world of men. There's other guys playing with balls in the area, but they're nothing in the face of our passion. A group over there seems to be playing soccer. Yoshino, wanna play some soccer?
相手を攻撃できんスポーツはつまらねえ。やるかやられるか。その刹那が俺を最高に酔わせるのさ。
It's true. If anything, the grand ancient history of dodgeball is bereft with injuries and fatal mistakes. You're adrenaline junkie. I bet Japan's boring to you.
日本は狭くてくだらねえ。俺は早く世界に飛び出して、その名を轟かせてんだ。
Oh yeah? Where are you gonna go?
知るかよ。それを知るために飛び出すんじゃねえか。
Interesting. Basically, you just want to take off?
俺に言わせりゃ、どいつもこいつも殻の中で生涯を終える腐ったひよこさ。よくもこんな狭いリザベーションで我慢ができるもんだぜ。
I did always think, like, Is it Yes Man, the story? Yeah, I think it is. Like that movie's interesting. It's definitely not great, but one of the things they do in that, because the idea is that it's somebody who like is forced by some kind of MacGuffin to always say yes to whatever questions are asked, and just has to go with it. They can kind of face the rewards, and while it leads to a lot of chaos, it also leads to a lot of wholesome and interesting adventure moments. And one of the best parts of the movie was where he and the main heroine character just drive to the airport, walk into like a ticket stand, and just say, "We want 2 plane tickets." And she's like, "Which flight do you want?" And they said, "What's the next one that's leaving, like that we could catch?" And it's just like to some random place in the middle of nowhere, and they go and they just explore and have fun and make a trip out of it. And like I've always wanted to do that. It's never gonna happen because like it also feels like a humongous waste of money, but at the same time, there's something kind of cool about the concept of just like jumping on a plane, no idea where you're going, you land, and you just make a vacation out of it. That's really fun. I see you're not a patriot.
俺は必ず街を出る。国を出る。そして、ゆくゆくは宇宙へ出る男になる。地球すらも狭くなるほどのビッグな男になりてえのさ。
Feel that, man. I want to go to space too. I'm impressed you can even say that out loud. Even a mouse can reach the threshold where you can't help but respect it. As for myself, I don't really feel like leaving the town I'm used to as long as nothing life-changing or dramatic occurs. Well, Kotarou, I have a problem for you. Well, not a problem, but like, I have bad news. My current world is satisfying enough, more or less. But according to Yoshino's philosophy, that means I'm a chicken too afraid to break out of my shell. Alright then, I'll listen to your boasting when you become big in the future.
当然だ。天王寺こそ、狭い世界で満足するような。小さい男になって俺を失望させるんじゃねえぜ。
He reminds me of like the rivals in Pokemon games. Yoshino's usual embellished line strikes a chord with me for once. Over 99% of his drive stems from delusion, but he sometimes says something that resonates with the real world. That's the reason I can never make myself hate his loud mouth. Suddenly, I spot someone misdirecting a powerful long kick toward us. The ball whooshes above our heads, and after bouncing a few times, it disappears into the flower bed of pansies. Wow, that was a close one. Class rep was nearby, and that ball flew right by her face. And she looks pretty angry.
こらー！危ないぞ男子！気をつけろ！悪い悪い！委員長、ボール取ってくんない？
The guy who kicked the ball sticks out his tongue and apologizes in a lighthearted manner. The ball is still somewhere in the middle of the forest pansies. Class's rep's eyes roam between the culprit and the flower bed with a half-angry, half-troubled expression.
知らん！お前らのボールだ！お前らが取れ！
Okay, do you just not like flowers, or do you just... Because she seems like more perturbed about the idea of going after the ball, rather than like the annoyance of it.
怒るなよ！ボールボール！早く早く！嫌だ！不潔だ！触りたくない！
Right, oh, okay.
また始まったな。
Yoshino clicks his tongue. Class rep was almost hit in the face, so I can't blame her for getting angry. However, I have a bad feeling where this is going.
ふざけんなよ！ボール蹴り出すだけだろ！できるだろそれぐらい！だから嫌だと言っている！不潔だから嫌だ！
Jeez, why is it getting so serious? Like, good grief. Like, I understand people might be upset about this, but it's like, God, it just ramps so hard, so fast. The guys playing soccer slowly begin assembling into a mob. Worried, we head closer. Was she always this awkward with people?
あいつは入学した時からこうだぞ。おめえ、興味のない人間にはとことん無関心だからな。
According to Yoshino, this isn't the first time this kind of thing has happened. He doesn't know I'm trying to avoid paying too much attention to her since she's once told me that my attention ruined the taste of her lunch. By the time we reach them, class rep's already arguing with the 3 guys.
私は嫌だ！触りたくないと最初から言っている！別にボール拾って舐めろとは言ってねえだろ！蹴ってくれって頼んだだけじゃねえかよ！
Like, that's the thing. Like, maybe it's just being kids, but at the same time, like, I don't know. They're not super young. They're like high school, you know, or I don't know, high school, since this technically is on a Steam game, and Steam technically has to have like certain boundaries, so they have to be certain ages. It's so sad because again, it's like well, we date in high school. It's not weird to be dating people in the same in a story when you're like the characters are all the same age for them to date each other. Like that doesn't like it's weird. Regardless of that, so they're in school. I understand like people getting picked on for having different attitudes or just not meshing very well, but like it still feels like this is going way out of proportion for what it is.
蹴るだけでも不潔なのかよ。靴履いてても触れねえのかよ。お前どんだけ潔癖なんだよ。
お前たちが蹴り出したボールだろうが、私にそれを蹴り返す義理なんかない。
こら、喧嘩はダメだよ。
Kotarou.
男子が寄ってたかって女の子一人に絡むなんて最低です。
Yeah, at least do it one-on-one. You heard them. Chill out, guys.
やれやれ。てめえらのボールだろ。
んだと吉野。
Hey there, Yoshi, don't provoke him any further. One ball coming right up. Would you like some fries with that? I hop into the flower bed, retrieve the ball, pass it to the group. Nothing good will come out of this. The sooner I end it, the better. The teachers might step in if they spot fighting. I think you should go.
間抜けどもめ。てめえらのシュートがどれだけふぬけてたか教えてやるぜ。
Interesting. Yoshino snatches the ball out of their hands, throws it to the ground, and begins dribbling toward the playing field at a surprisingly fast pace. The guys gave Class Rep one last indignant look before chasing after him. That's most likely Yoshino's way of being considerate. A good call. This forces the scene to an abrupt end. But you know, you shouldn't get so worked up over a single ball either, Class Rep. I don't know if it's that simple, man.
また潔癖症ですか？あまり程が過ぎるとトラブルの元だと思いますけど。
Okay. Hang on. This is almost meaner because at this point we've spent time with her. Like we're kind of hanging out with the RIS activities and stuff. So like we're kind of all friends already. And I get that they're coming from they're approaching from like a safe point, but at the same time, this could be related to like a phobia or compulsion, and that's where it starts treading into things of like, because that's the thing is like, if you don't have a phobia, even a minor one, it's really hard to explain that to somebody else. Like I have a minor phobia of wasps. It's not that I can't overcome it when necessary, but if I get startled by one, I have a very physical and definitely overblown reaction to them. I have a good reason for it. I had a horrific experience with a wasp when I was growing up. I was like in middle school, and we had like a windstorm whip up where we were. It was like kind of late spring, early summer. And I remember I had some stuff out in the yard. I think it was like a couple like a couple balls, and like it was also just like I needed to get stuff cleaned up, and the wind was so strong, like I'm talking like 45 mile an hour, 50 mile an hour winds. So pretty good, nothing crazy like dangerous, but just real solid, like it was gonna blow stuff out of the yard. And so I went outside to go and kind of put my stuff away and kind of get it into shed, shut the shed, and get back in the house. And I remember I got stuff back in, and I was going back to the house. It was raining too, so like rain's like going almost sideways. I've got my hand up here, like trying to block it so I can kind of see where I'm going. And as I'm going, something smacks into my arm and rolls down, like it bounces off and kind of hits my face, and then it goes into my shirt. It turned out to be a wasp. When the wasp hit my arm, it freaked out. So when it hit my face, it stung me. And then it went into my shirt and proceeded to repeatedly sting me over and over and over again in my shirt. And I was in a situation with the wind and the rain. I didn't see what it was. I didn't know what was happening. It just hurt, and I was freaking out. So I ran inside, started ripping off my clothes. And my mom was right there in the kitchen. She was like, "What the heck?" Because I was like yelling and screaming. And she came in, she saw what it was, and she essentially just kind of mama bear grabbed it and threw it out the window or something. I don't know. Maybe she just killed it. I can't remember. All I know is I had like stings all like down my face and all across my shoulder and upper arm. Like it got me like 4 or 5 times. And like it probably wasn't just stings. Like there definitely were stings, but it also must have been biting me too, because I don't even know if there's like how much venom they even have in their stinger. All I know is that wasp must have got everything into me, because it was rough, and it took like a day to like really, like I had trouble moving. I started swelling up. It was just bad. I'm not allergic or anything, but like it was just a rough experience, and ever since then I've just had this kind of innate, just really, really strong emotional reaction to them. Bees a bit too, but I also understand that bees and wasps are different. They behave differently, and also I like bees. Bees are cool. Wasps, they're just jerks anyway. So like I have no inclination to try and forgive them for that and so like I have that phobia. And the thing is like I can explain that story and that story makes sense. But if you were to be with me outside and a wasp kind of flies in front of your face, you'd kind of be like, ugh, whatever. Wasp flies in front of my face, I freeze and I want to run. And that's like I said, it's a minor one. Like at least I can control that. I've seen people who have genuine phobias where like it induces a severe panic and there's no rhyme or reason, there's no logic, or you can't talk your way out of it. You can't, like, maybe through hard conditioning you'd be able to overcome it, but most of us aren't going to force ourselves to go through such pain for something like that. So this idea, like, if this is a phobia of hers, right, or a psychological condition, just like that, like, she might have a traumatic experience with it, she might have something going on, it could just be an idiosyncrasy. Regardless of that, that fear becomes tangible and real. Her brain interprets, you know, comprehending, coming in contact with things, being tantamount to a disaster, a car accident, or an impending car crash, or someone charging you with a knife. Like, those are the types of, like, emotional responses she might have to certain conditions, which in this case could be dirt. And so, yeah, I understand Chihaya's here trying to be friendly, but this idea of saying, like, when it goes this far, it causes nothing but trouble. Unless it's like something more, you know, there's likely more going on, and it's like not as normal as a phobia is. But if it is if it were like a phobia, it's gonna be this thing that's like it's not necessarily something she can control or something she has to handle. In fact, like knowing superpowers and whatever, like maybe she's trying to prevent a disaster. Maybe she's trying to save herself from potentially causing harm, and that to receive such negativity, even from people she considers her friends, would be so hard.
ほっといてくれ。お前にとやかく言われたくない。
あ、そうですか。それはすみません。
Oh, wow. It's funny because, like, excuse me is in the capitals, but, like, hearing that kind of, like, it didn't come across as, like, a yell, like, well, excuse me. It came across more of, like, a, oh, fine then, like, you hear, like, the nasally, like, making fun tone.
やめようよ。
Looks like Chihaya is still sore over the incident with the cats yesterday. Don't start another fight, Chihaya. I mean, you kick a soccer ball with your feet, right? Who knows where those shoes have been before that? I can understand not wanting to touch something that might have dog crap on it.
そうだよね。だからゴールキーパーの人も手袋してるんだもんね。
I don't think that's entirely correct. Anyway, I'm here saying that everyone has their own standards for hygiene. Glassref has her own set of values. We got no right to call her wrong.
私、この花さんのことは好きでした。転校してきて、いろいろとわからないところを親切にしてもらいましたし。
Chihaya. I mean, I know that she's always been like this. It's kind of funny because, like, now we've seen her route. I totally get why she's like this, but that's pretty harsh, man.
でも、ちょっとわからなくなりました。
Don't fetch me.
私、あなたのこと尊敬できないかもしれません。
She's just honest, but like, this is a brutal, like, dressing down. Because, like, again, they've been hanging out. They're kind of friends.
別に尊敬されたいつもりなんかない。それより、どうして私は咎められなければならないのか。
I mean, she's right.
歩いていた。ボールが横切った。それだけだ。私に何の過失がある。
あさっての方角にキックした男子が一方的に悪いと思います。でも、クラスの一員として、この花さんがボールのすぐ近くにいたんだから、拾ってあげても何の不思議もなかったと思います。
Oh my gosh, calm down.
あなた、委員長じゃないですか。委員長ってルール違反の人を罰するだけが仕事なんですか？
Oh no, I don't like this. Is brutal. I don't like this.
私、あなたは何か大切なものが欠けているように思えてなりません。
Chihaya's got a red card. Kotori, could you get her out of here so I could cool her? Kotori, could you get her out of here so she could cool her head?
うん。行こう、ちーちゃん。別に誰も悪くない話なんだよ。
Kotori, please take the bundle of energy. As much as she probably doesn't intend to actually be causing harm, she's kind of bull in a China shopping right now.
そうだ。誰も悪くない。
そうですね。誰も悪くないです。聞いていいです？拾うの嫌ならせめて足で切り出してやるだけでもいいでしょうに。
Chihaya, please leave!
この花さんは靴の裏でさえも汚れ物に触れるのが嫌なんですか？それが嫌なら死ぬまで家に閉じこもってればいいのに。
やめてちーちゃん。ほらもう行こう。別に靴の裏まで汚れ物に触りたくないとは言わない。
へえ、じゃあどうして切り返してやらなかったんです？
Cut the crap already, Chihaya. This conversation is over.
触りたくないからだ。
何に触りたくない？
What did she just say she didn't want to touch? I heard it, but it was so unexpected my brain failed to process it. I immediately forget my attempts to shut Chihaya up as I wait for Clash Rep to repeat the answer.
何に触りたくないって言ったんです？何に？
Chihaya is getting more and more aggressive. Cop, dude, stop! She probably heard it just fine, but it's so unexpected she can't help but ask for clarification, just like me. Clash Rep lowers her gaze, trembles, bites her lip, and finally she manages to squeeze out the word out of her tightened throat.
花に触りたくない。
Interesting. Why the flowers? Because, like, she didn't want to touch the cat, and now she didn't want to touch the flowers. Why? Like, why those things? They don't seem related at all. Huh?
どうしてこんなにも綺麗なお花なのに。
花まで不潔だって言うんですか？
No, there's something else going on.
不潔だからだ。触りたくない。悪いか。
See, there's not much logic to that. She makes it as obvious as possible, while still biting her lip with tears in her eyes. I recall Yoshino said after the cat incident, everyone has their own way of living. It's not your place to tell other people what to do or what to think.
あなたってそんなにも清潔なんですか？世の中ってそんなにも不潔なんですか？わけわかりません。
Cut it out already, Chihaya. I said this conversation's over. Are you deaf or something? She's still totally pissed off at the cat incident yesterday. Women are scary. They can look like they've forgotten something on the surface, but they keep fuming about it on the inside. Guys do that too. We just don't tend to hide it as much. If we have a problem with you, we tend to just say it. That said, I can understand how shocking this must be for Chihaya too. All she wanted was to share the joy of holding an adorable animal with another person. It's like she hoped that it'd be the first step in them establishing a proper friendship. She probably didn't even imagine its possibility of being rejected so completely. Must have left quite a deep wound in her heart. Still, Class Rep has her own way of living. Quite a bit different from an average person, so it's only natural to feel a bit uncomfortable with it. That said, no one has the right to tell Class Rep to change. Besides, she's obviously doing her best to avoid causing trouble for others with her peculiar sensibilities. We have to appreciate that. Jeez, why the heck am I taking her side? Nothing good will come out of sticking my nose into a tiresome situation. I don't know, man. Because it feels like nobody else is on her side.
こんなにも綺麗な花が不潔？汚い？
Chihaya, stop it. Okay, look, I don't think this is the case, but Chihaya, did you even think for a second, what if she were allergic to it? I mean, it's like peanuts, right? Like, the thing with people who have severe peanut allergies, they don't even have to eat a peanut. They can touch a peanut. Heck, they can touch a surface that somebody who touched a peanut has touched, and they can go into anaphylactic shock and die. Like, if you have you can have legitimate reasons for not wanting to touch stuff. Like, even because sometimes even touching something can become disastrous. Heck, my dad is horrifically allergic to cats. And I don't even mean like, oh, he touches a cat, he breaks out the hive. I don't even mean if he's like nearby a cat, he has issues. It's like if a cat has walked past him, he will feel the effects of it for days because the cat's hair and like specifically the dandruff, like bits of like their the skin that they have that flakes off like our skin does. So that bits of dust essentially is what he's allergic to. And it can get stuck to your clothes and it can hang out for days. And it can be tough to even wash out half the time. Like multiple wash cycles might be necessary for it to clear out of his system. So he won't even go inside a house that has a cat because even if you put the cat away, the cat's touching stuff in the house, which means that stuff is going to have some of the bits of hair and skin that's going to get that might touch him. And then if he's not actively taking like countermeasure medicine, he's going to have a horrific rest of his day and possibly the next several days because of that contamination. You can't just judge this type of stuff.
そう感じるあなたの方がよっぽど不潔なんじゃないですか？
私は不潔じゃない。
なら、
Sheesh.
この花が不潔だって言うんですか？これがこの花が
And then that's the other thing too, is like I said, I'm guessing there's more to it because it's ReWrite, so of course there's more going on. But if it weren't that, and she were just a germaphobe, telling a germaphobe you are unclean, that's horrible. That's really mean. Oh jeez, she's totally lost it. Chihaya violently runs her hands over the flower bed, grabbing the first fistful of pansies and sticking them to class rep's face. You! Okay, no, that so crosses the line. A gust of wind coincidentally picks up and scatters the flower petals into the air, making for a surreal, wondrous sight. However, the gesture doesn't symbolize beauty or love. As such, class rep can do nothing but stare at the ground, faced by Chihaya's unadulterated rage, anger.
もういい加減にして。
Yeah, I know, like physical intervention might be necessary, especially with Chihaya.
ほらちーちゃん行くよ。行かないと私も怒るんだよ。
There's some real threat there.
そうですね。私もこれ以上は不愉快です。
Oh boy.
喧嘩に絡まれてるのかと思って来てみましたが、本当に無駄足でした。
Don't say that. Thanks, Chihaya. Your help was very much appreciated.
どういたしまして。
ありがとう。もうそんなのじゃダメだよ。お願いだから仲直りして。
Later, get them apart.
したいですけど、握手はできそうにないですからね。私の手、きっと不潔でしょうから。大丈夫です。私、こういうのはうまくできる方ですから。
So she'll act normal, but she'll continually hold it against Lucia on the inside. Fetch me. Why'd they have to end up like this? Jeez, these two are a pain in the neck. Chihaya turns on her heel and walks away. Kotarou gives me an "I'll leave the other one to you" look and follows after her. Once they disappear from sight, Classart finally begins brushing flower petals and pieces of grass off her clothes. Don't take it to heart. She's still sore over the cat thing yesterday.
気持ちはわかる。あの場でああいうことになればショックを受けて当然だろう。
You sure aren't making things easy on yourself. It'd be a lot simpler if you genuinely didn't care what others thought, but... if you walked your path like Yoshino, giving zero craps about the fact that sometimes you look like a lunatic, it'd only make you an eccentricities cute, but you're not like that.
だからなんだ。
You're doing this by choice, you should try to be more smooth about it? Fetch me. I mean, at least he tried to qualify it a bit, but that doesn't help it. What?
私だってこんな生き方好きでやってると思うか？
No. Class rep, or rather. Konohana Lucia screams. I don't know what the frustration in her voice is directed at. I always thought she lived like this by choice. But the tortured tears in her eyes carry a burden beyond my knowledge. I hear the bell signaling the end of our lunch break. Class rep rubs her eyes. I ask if she's okay, but she ignores me and heads toward the school. What the hell's going on with her? Yeah. Something. So it's not. And the thing is, like, even though I know for a fact it's probably going to be something more supernaturally oriented, since I know from the other playthroughs she's from Guardian. Even if it weren't, do you think somebody who has a phobia or somebody who has like ADHD, do you think they want that? Do you think someone who has depression is just being down in the dumps and isn't doing anything about it? You know, like, are you one of those people who genuinely thinks that, like, if they just went outside and worked out more and got a good hobby, they'd be feeling better all of a sudden? If you genuinely think that, you really should reassess, because like Lucia just screamed there, do you think people who are living with these types of deals want that? Do you think they get some kind of sympathy? Do you think people who suffer from these types of inhibitions that are not skin like on surface level, you can't see it, like it's not like they have leprosy or anything. You can see that, but you can't see depression, you can't see anxiety, you can't see PTSD, you can't see phobias, you can't see maybe I would even argue things like dyslexia. Like, I think for just people who are dyslexic, people will just be like, "What, you can't read that?" Like it'll randomly come up in class, or maybe when you're playing a game or something, and it's like, it feels like it's something that'd be really easy to make fun of. But like, do you think they just are choosing to do that? That they're just being dumb? It's like, no. Like, there are times where people choose ignorance and people choose to keep themselves blinded or choose to believe in things despite the fact that there's no evidence of it. That's choice. Like, people who are flat earthers, like, that's a choice. You know, if you really wanted to see, and if you decided that if you don't decide to just distrust anything that goes against your worldview, that's a choice. But when you're actively having these types of issues, they're not just something you can just set aside one day. At the best, you probably need professional help. Some people don't. Some people can manage to make it through on their own, but they're a rare exception. I think most people who have to wrestle with these issues either learn to bury them so you just don't hear about it anymore because they know it bothers you if they brought it up, or they genuinely have to work through it with professional help to be able to make a difference in their lives. And like, it's not fair to just assume that because they don't have they have issues with stuff that seems really easy to you. It's really, really unfair. All right. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting rambly today. By the time class rep takes roll call, her expression has returned to its usual blank self. All right, I can see why. Dang, that's rough. Okay, October 23rd. Apparently, I'm the type of person that doesn't notice people I'm not interested in, which was something that Yoshino just said, but we also know was actually very true. I didn't know we had someone this clumsy in our class. Konohana Lucia. I've been in the same class as her since April. Her earnest profile as she scribbles notes in her notebook doesn't betray a hint of what happened yesterday. The same applies to Chihaya, who's reading her own notebook with an aloof expression. I'm not trying to take sides here. It's none of my business if they're getting along or not, but it's kind of interesting. How did I end up pulling this off where, out of like blindly jumping into paths and blindly choosing afterwards, that I go down the Chihaya path, and now we're seeing this like confrontation with Chihaya and Lucia, and it's like I have so much context. It actually is working out really well because it's like I can't be mad at Chihaya, but I'm also kind of mad at Chihaya. Can't totally ignore it either. I want to do something, but I don't know what.
入学した当初からあの手のトラブルは何度も起こしてる。
I'm not surprised. She's probably clashed with others quite a bit, this kind of lifestyle.
そのうち誰も関わらなくなった。そしてそれが一番ちょうどいい距離だったのさ。
So he's actually saying that like she wanted to make friends, but it caused issues when she would bring up her idiosyncrasies, and so now she's decided that just not being friends is the best path. Her only friend is Sizuru, and she's lovely, but it might not be what Lucia is looking for. Not just Sizuru, especially because she's in a lower class too. Like they don't get to go to classes together. If you ignore her obsession with sanitation, she's a diligent and honest person. That model attitude of hers makes her a perfect fit for leading our class. Therefore, she keeps herself at a distance from us, a step above in rank as a class president. How do you know all that? You weren't in the same class as her last year.
あれだけの変わり者なら普通に耳に飛び込んでくら。荒野じゃリボルバーの残弾と情報に疎いやつは生きていけねえぜ。
I don't know why you went Western with that analogy, but okay. Sorry, looks like I only pay attention to stuff that's right in front of me. I'm assuming the class rep still garners enough respect to have her fair share of like-minded friends, despite having a stick up her butt. Is that supposed to be just like an underscore?
1年の時、臨海学校の半決めがあった。この花は委員長として上手に話をまとめ上げた。
That's a cool sounding name, Konohana. Konohana. It just sounds very like fluid, almost like water, but in a word. Konohana.
それは誰からも不平が出ない見事な半分けとバスの座席表だったそうだ。だが最後の最後まで自分を受け入れてくれる班がなかった。
She's diligent, she understands and gets people, which is why she's able to put groups together that made sense. Probably also kept people away from each other who would cause issues, but then never could find a place for herself to fit.
風邪で休んだやつがいるとプリントを届けたりするだろう。ある日この花が風邪で学校を休んだ。担任が誰かプリントを届けてほしいと告げたが
Oh, fetch
誰も
me.
名乗り出なかった。
She really is an island. Dang, that's pretty cold class. That's this class! That's you!
違う。誰もこの花の家を知らなかったんだ。
Okay, that's a bit more understanding.
誰も友達がいなかったから誰もこの花の家に遊びに行ったことがなかった。だから誰も知らなかった。
Still sad though. Dang. I always thought she blended in well in the class representative. I didn't even suspect she had no friends.
何しろあの白い手袋は目立つからな。潔癖症のきつい女がいるって噂はすぐに学年を駆け巡ったさ。
Oh well, there you go. Guess I wasn't paying attention. Oh really? You just clued in now?
女同士の腐った噂話に耳を貸すのはてめえの性分じゃねえだろ。
No, but that's the thing is, if Lucia were a guy, I think he still wouldn't have paid attention. That kind of life is painful though.
辛けりゃ改めりゃいい。それでもなおそういう生き方に固執するなら相応の代償を支払うしかねえ。
That's an interesting take, because again, like I said before, it's like, this is likely not something that's within control. Like, I don't like that idea that, like, you can have your weirdness, your quirks, whether they be as minor as, like, a weird laugh, or as major as, like, a psychological disorder. You can't just wish that away, or just conform, like, that's not how that works.
そしてこの花はそこそこにうまくやれてたのさ。
I see. Chihaya is a transfer student, though, and she doesn't know any of that.
そういうこったな。さっき神戸がそのあたりのことを話してたようだぜ。
Good.
もとよりこの花に悪気はねえ。大鳥もそのうち機嫌を直すだろうよ。
But will that matter? I hope those two make up.
仲直りなんかしねえだろ。適正な距離に収まるだけだぜ。
Wasn't it referenced in? I think it was. I don't know if it was like along like one of the former paths specifically, or if it's just a background like information. But wasn't there a whole thing where Chihaya and Lucia were like meeting after school to have a fight or something? Or maybe that's an event that's coming, but in this route actually is meaningful. But it's odd because on the Chihaya route we never saw that happen. So I wonder if I'm just, and I'm thinking it might have been on the Kotarou route, and that's the Kotarou route is kind of the most neutral route, I'm guessing, or at least it feels like it. Actually, I was also wondering that too. Like my guess, I thought that everyone gets the Kotarou route first. Like it's like designated as the first route you get. But is it possible you could actually miss the route entirely? Because that's really interesting. I never even thought that somebody could have not had that be their first route. But it's interesting. Anyway, let's keep going. Makeup? They weren't friends to begin with, so there's nothing to salvage. I don't know, man. They kind of were. Like, they were acquaintances, at least. I won't stand for it. I know both Class Rep and Chihaya. Both of them are oddballs, to put it lightly, and they're nice and honest girls. There's no reason they shouldn't get along. No, that's not true. Because they're honest, that can be it alone. Because people who are honest, one of the biggest faults they can have is that too much honesty can feel painful. And it's not always what you want in a friendship or even an acquaintanceship. I love it when people are honest. Like, I think it's really important and very, like, necessary. Like, and there's a difference between cruelty and honesty. People can be cruel, and I don't like that. I don't like people who throw what they perceive as, like, the truth in people's faces just to, like, you know, mess with them or feel superior to them. But I do really like it when people can be candid, when people can be honest, and people can give good feedback. Constructive criticism. It doesn't even have to be super constructive, just like meaningful criticism is really important to me. I think it's one of the things that makes me a better person and helps others be better people, but not everyone likes that. So you could have two people who are honest, but they get on each other's nerves because they won't, they're so honest it can become like almost detrimental.
余計なお世話は大概にしとけ。
I admit I might not be the man who can aim for the stars. I'm just a small fry who can't overlook a little misunderstanding between my classmates.
みてえだな。つくづく小さいことを気にする野郎だぜ。
There has to be a reason why class rep turned out like this.
私だって
It's just replaying the line, right? She's not saying this right now.
好きでやってると思うか
That's what she said. There's gotta be something that's pushing her over the edge, and I might be able to help if I figure out what it is.
おせっかい焼き目。てめえは一生この狭い町でご町内のご機嫌取りをしてやがれ。
No name? Is that such a bad thing to do?
てめえらしいや。俺には付き合いきれねえぜ。
Yoshino lets out a mocking chuckle. But when the teacher announces that what we're studying will be on the exam, he too has no choice but to return to his gaze to the blackboard. I'm probably sticking my nose where it doesn't belong. But I simply can't leave them on their own. My help may be uncalled for, but I have to be true to myself to do what I wish, just like I always do. That said, I'm not really sure what I can do, or where to even start.
てめえの知り合いに眼帯の小娘がいたろ。あいつ、この花と仲がいいみたいだな。
Yes, we do. Yoshino.
うるせえ。授業中だぞ。
そうだ。ルチアは親友だ。
Aww. God. Sizuru and Lucia. I have to be honest. I was and have been very torn about which of the two I thought might be the more enjoyable. But the thing is, like, I still can't get over this idea that Sizuru is just like the best little sister ever. And like, that's the thing. So like, maybe her route doesn't go down the romance path. I'm guessing it does. But like, it's more of like a familiar bond. But in the end though, like, I actually ended up learning more about Sizuru in the Chihaya route, where I didn't get to know really anything about Lucia. So I think that's kind of why I've leaned towards Lucia, is that I found her an interesting character. I think her character design is like quirky and fun and interesting. But then when push comes to shove, I just don't know like anything about her. So yeah, I'm really curious. Yeah, makes sense that the disciplinary committee member and the class representative would get along. I messaged Sizuru to meet in the inner yard during lunch break. She probably figured out that I was serious because of how sudden it was. I could sense genuine care in her voice as she uttered Lucia's name.
またルチアに何かあったのか。
Unfortunately. I see you've already figured it out. Yeah, more or less. Seems like Sizuru is already familiar with Lucia's sanitary sensibilities and the problems they bring.
小太郎のしていることは、もし...
Sizuru hesitates.
私に任せてくれた方がいいかもしれない。
Huh? Why?
女の子同士のことは女の子同士。
Well, that's fair. Well, can't argue with that.
小太郎とルチアを見てると、もっとこじれてしまうかもしれない。
Yeah, that doesn't stop us. I consider her words. It's true, I don't know I know next to nothing about Lucia. My involvement might only make the situation worse. Should I get involved? Sounds like Sizuru has known Lucia for a long time, so it might make more sense to leave this matter to her. Besides, Lucia doesn't fancy my company much anyway. This might be the perfect time to wash my hands of this. Interesting that this is a choice. I'm actually kind of surprised. Like, what even happens if you do this one? Like, it feels like if you're kind of walking down this road heading towards the Lucia path and you do this, like, what path do you even get? Like, any? None? I mean, does it not matter? No. I think we need to try. No. I should take matters into my own hands. It might complicate things, but it looks like I'm too much of a busybody to give this up.
でも、なんとなくそういう気がしていた。
Yeah. Well, we're kind of an idiot, so... Yep.
わかった。
She directs her gaze right at mine, urging me to ask anything I want to know. Okay, for starters, is class rep really a clean freak?
どうしてそう思う？
I don't know, would saying I saw something to the contrary in her eyes be too cheesy?
だいぶ。
Aww. Sorry about that. As usual, Sizuru doesn't mince words. Perhaps that's exactly what makes her a good partner for the short-tempered class rep. I relay everything that happened and explain that I want Chihaya and class rep to make up.
小太郎、
Yeah?
お前はルチアの友人なのか。
That's what I'd like to think at least.
なら、友人の友人だから、私とも友人だ。
A friend of a friend is a friend, so that makes you my friend too. I thought we were already friends.
そうだったか。それはうっかり。
See, she makes me laugh. I think Shizuru's interactions with her, especially with the non-verbal like conversations they have, I do think are very charming and very funny. Shizuru ruffles her hair in an endearing display of embarrassment. Then she gives me a hard look. I thought as though she's evaluating me or maybe judging my sincerity. I return her gaze, conveying that I am merely looking out for class rep out of boredom.
話してもいい。
Yeah?
ずっとルチアの友人でいてくれるのなら。
Don't worry, I'll be your friend no matter what happens. I'm a man that can't make it to space after all.
宇宙。
Sorry, that was an inside joke. An inside joke to myself. I meet up with Sizuru again after school. There's a crepe wagon sitting in the park, so I buy each of us a treat. Kids frolic around the evening sun-illuminated paths, using the last minutes of daylight to play. I've got one with strawberries, one with anchovies. Which would you like?
アンチョビ
Are you serious? You got a pretty manly taste, you know?
ー。美味しいぞ。小太郎も一口食べるか。
Oh wait, that's a real thing? I thought it was a joke. Really? Crepe with what? After nibbling on her crepe like a starving squirrel for a few seconds, Sizuru sticks it out to me. Anchovies are salty fish you'd usually find on pizza, snack food, and the like. With all that cream on them, though, they look pretty sweet. The more I look at them, the happier I feel with my own crepe. Nah, I'm good.
そうか。残念。
Which reminds me, there was that time you and class rep ate lunch together, right?
ある。ランチにサンマのフルーツサンドをご馳走した。
Actually, that's starting to make a little more sense now. I'll make a joke about that menu choice later. Anyway, the point is, class rep ate the food you prepared, right? Lucia called cats and flowers unclean. Could she possibly eat food prepared by someone else's hands? Wait a sec, I saw her eat at the cafeteria a bunch of times. That makes even less sense.
ルチアは別に潔癖症なんかじゃない。
Right, it's kind of what I thought. She uses it as an excuse, but because it explains what's really going on better. Then why is she acting like that? See, like, there's a wall here we can't really cross. Sizuru draws her mouth away from her crepe. She looks at the ground, falling silent as she most likely considers how much she can say. She wears gloves 24 hours a day, even during summer. How can you say she's not a clean freak?
あの手袋に意味なんてない。
Okay. But then why would she wear them? Huh?
前にルチアの手を見せてもらったはず。
Ah, right, that happened. Yeah, we had the interaction where we kind of tricked her into taking her gloves off. We saw that her hands looked normal. No horrific scars or anything. I thought there was some deep secret lurking underneath those gloves to make her take them off, but... I remember, there was nothing wrong with her hands. Rather, they were beautiful.
手袋の必要なんてない。でも、彼女は手袋をしないと。
Because it's unclean.
不潔だからだ。
You realize you're literally saying she's a clean freak, right?
違う、そうじゃない。
So, she puts on gloves that she always wears. And she at least says it's because she doesn't want to, like, touch unclean things. But then, she has no problem taking them off, per se. But she feels like she has to wear them all the time. And Shizuru's implying that she doesn't actually have to, but she does because she's, like, worried. So, maybe it's more like she's not actually a clean freak, but she has these, like, OCD-like symptoms where, like, she feels like terrible things will happen if she doesn't wear her gloves. And it's not because, like, she's worried that she's actually going to touch something that's going to make her sick. But it's the idea that maybe if she gets her hands dirty, she'll never get to clean them again. Like, they'll never be clean again. Like, it's something more, like I said, OCD. Like, and I'm not talking like OCD is like, oh, like, I like having my house just so OCD. I'm talking like the literal OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. Like, these are people who will struggle with things where they'll have this weird system in their brain that convinces them that doing things like, oh, when you leave the house, you have to open and shut the door 10 times because if you don't, something terrible is going to happen. And like these attitudes and these repetitive kind of almost rituals stack up in their lives and become so much of an interference, it makes it almost impossible for them to do stuff. So what if she has something like that? What if she like, it's like there's nothing actually special about it and she has no trouble handling things that are even dirty? Like she could go play in the mud if she wanted to. But if she's out in public and she feels like a disaster could occur if she didn't wear her gloves, maybe it's just that. Her hands are clean and beautiful.
そうだ。ルチアの手は綺麗な手だ。
What is Sizuru trying to say? If she isn't a clean freak and there's no point in those gloves, then what? The cheerful voice of children. Oh, it's Lucia. Oh, we're getting from her. They play tag and sing songs together with their teacher. The nostalgic sounds of kicking a ball and playing a melodica. A melodica, is that like one of those like plastic flutes? Is that what they're called? Do you know about sunflowers? They grow up and bloom in an energetic yellow if you give them water every day. And then they produce a huge amount of seeds. Bigger, grow bigger. Grow as many seeds and prove how healthy you are. I'm competing with my friends to see whose sunflower will grow the most seeds. Teacher told me the sunflowers grow lots of seeds. If my sunflower grows a bunch and gives birth to a whole lot of other sunflowers, the world will be covered in them and they're repeated over and over again. Sunflowers symbolize happiness. It would envelop the world. And what could be better than knowing that it was my seed that gave birth to it all? As soon as the thought passed through my head, my world turns into a field of sunflowers. Under a sunny blue sky with long clouds like cotton candy drifting through it. Thousands of sunflowers sway in the hot summer wind. You know what's actually crazy? You can see this. When I was moving across the country, it was like late summer, early fall, we drove through a section, I believe was Wyoming in the United States. And it turned out that there was a big rolling hills of sunflower fields that were there. And they were in their full bloom, getting ready to harvest in the next few weeks. But to see these rolling hills of sunflowers, like literally, it was a real thing that we stopped and like just took in for a little bit because it was just beautiful. So it's weird. It's weird that I've literally seen exactly this in real life. That's the perfect world I envision. A single ladybug crawls along a leaf. It's cute. I touch it with the tip of my finger and it falls to the ground. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll put you right back up. I pick it up and place it back on the leaf, but it falls down again. Seems like it's pretty clumsy. Probably got scared of me and feigned death to avoid danger. That's too bad. Can't be easy for it to climb all the way up there with those short legs. Maybe I can change the angle of the leaf and put it back on it. Then it can stop feigning death once I leave. I grasp the leaf and turning it so I can support the ladybug's weight. It's not easy. The sunflower's leaves point where they want, ignoring my attempts to adjust them. The leaf looks so strong and healthy at first, but now it's fallen off. It does, and so does the ladybug, rolling and falling back to the ground, lying on its back motionless. Okay. The many small legs show no hint of stretching toward the sky. The sight makes me deeply anxious. Now that I look at it, the leaf in my hand is shrinking and withering before my eyes. That sounds like a nightmare. It looked so healthy before. Why? The sunflower suddenly hangs its head down as though bowing. There's no wind, so why? Its stem might give out if it blows like that. I hurriedly catch the flower before it falls to the ground like I'm catching someone fainting. But as soon as I do, the flower petals begin scattering away, all color drained from them. Why? Why? Yeah, it feels like a nightmare right now. Oh gosh. I already know. The ladybug wasn't feigning death, it had really passed away. And the sunflower had withered away and died right in front of my eyes as well. Why? Why? The flower petals rot away in my palm, turning muddy, as though they've been callously trampled into the mud on a rainy day. They no longer retain any of their original shape. My hands look like I stuck them into mud, or rather, like mud itself. There seems to be something like pus gushing out from my palms. Oh god, what the fetch? Not knowing what to do with these dirty hands, I'm unable to even wipe them off my clothes and begin shaking them violently. The sunflower hit by the mud from my hands begin to bend and fall down like they're melting. Oh gosh, that's really... What the fetch is this? What is happening? What happened to my hands? Disgusting pus continues to gush out from both my hands and collects together, dripping down my fingers. No, no, no. What is this filth? I'm scared. I want to get this disgusting stuff off me, but there's nothing to wipe it on, so I just continue shaking my arms frantically. As I shake my hands, the filth is scattered through the air, and whenever it lands, the flowers bend and fall one after another, lying prone on the ground. Before I realize it, the green land surrounding me is turned into a muddy black swamp. The once beautiful sunflowers melt into black sludge. It's like they're running away from me, blackness spreading around me in a circle. Thud, thud, thud. The sunflowers around me fall one after another like dominoes. The green and yellow field disappears as if it was never there in the first place. Only rotten sunflowers and a pool of mud rain. This is like, yeah, this is some genuine nightmare fuel. Like, it seems like straightforward as a premise, but like, if you didn't know this was a dream, like that would be so horrifying. In that moment, I spot one last sunflower that managed to escape the grisly fate of its comrades. It makes me happy, not thinking. I hurry to it, wishing to confirm that it's okay. Don't touch it. I stop, startled by the boy's voice. Or perhaps it's a girl's? I can't hear its words, but muffled whispering. I can't blame anyone for getting angry. After all, I ruined all the other beautiful sunflowers with my dirty hands. If I try to touch this last flower, it will no doubt wither as well. They belong to everyone. I bite my lip and lower my head, suppressing my affection toward the flower. I clench my fists. I begin backing off silently. Feel like I don't. The last sunflower will begin withering and fall to the mud too. Then I turn and run away at full speed. I can hear the cheerful voices finally resuming behind my back. The last sunflower survived because I didn't touch it, and that's why everyone could remain happy. I run through the darkness. There's something illuminated by the color of a cold fluorescent light. It's a sink. I stick my dirty hands into the brutally cold water, rinsing them with all my strength. The whirlpool disappearing into the drain soon turns into a rotten sewage. Ugh. Splatters all over the once beautiful crystal white sink. Rub, 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 rub. I'm washing my hands with an icy cold stream, yet I still can't get the dirt off. No matter how hard I try. No matter how hard I rinse. The filthy pus continues to gush from my palms. Where is it coming from? It's coming from the wrinkles in my palms or from under my nails? Yeah, this sounds like a fever dream of horrific. Like, it sounds like it really does sound like it really feels like a personification of OCD, like the true OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. I pick up a toothbrush and meticulously, obsessively begin cleaning my nails. Because the thing is, like, OCD people will believe that they've got dirt on them, and they will like wash and wash and wash, and they'll make themselves bleed by scrubbing themselves with soap for so long. But it's no good. Cleaning my nails won't work. I have to get the filth out from much deeper, the very core. Oh no. The rotten water fills the sink and begins to overflow. The dirt clogs it up, causing the filth to come back up. Whatever's stuck in the drain bubbles back to the surface. It's the bodies of 4 dead goldfish. No, there's 5, I can remember it. More things begin bubbling up from the drain. I know what it is without seeing. A body of a dead rabbit. It's not my fault. I didn't kill it. But it wouldn't have died if I hadn't petted it. It would have lived. Everyone would have remained happy. So it's all my fault after all. With tears streaming down my face and anger and sorrow tearing in my heart, I continue to wash my hands, now with the bodies of goldfish sticking to them. It looks like all of this filth is coming from inside of my hands. I have to squeeze the dirt out from deeper inside. If only I could get all the pus out. I have to pick up a razor and press it against my palm. Oh no. I have to get the thick skin out of the way. If I do, even more sludge will surely come out. I push the sharp blade into my flesh. This is just gone great! The twinge of pain brings Lucia back to reality. How long has it been since she washed her hands? It's been a while since she entered the bathroom.
何をしてるんだ私は
So, she had like a dream, but it was real too. Lucia turns off the tap and dries her hands. Her flesh had turned blue, aching as though frostbitten. Lucia squeezed her hands into fists without even attempting to warm them up, and savors the pain. She leans against the wall before slowly sliding to the ground. Covering her face with her still freezing hand, she lets out a sob.
ごめんねみんな私が汚いからだからごめんね大鳥さん
So, I don't know what's going on, obviously, but that's the thing. Filthy. She uses the excuse that she doesn't want to get touch things that are filthy. And people interpret it that she thinks that the things she touches are filthy, but no, she thinks that she's the filthy one. And if she touches them, they become filthy too. So she sees herself as the corruption, as a dirt, or in this vision quest, mind vision craziness, like a plague. The smile that Otori Chihaya wore when she stuck out the cat to her, only wishing to share its gentle warmth, and her broken expression once Lucia's hand shoved her down to the cold, hard ground.
ごめん。ごめんね。私にはね、抱けないんだよ。
Dang. Lucia rubs her face after giving her delicate white hands another look, breaks into another fit of sobbing. God, the voice acting is so good! That's me. Hey, Lucia. Interesting. Alright. I think we're gonna end it here. It might be a bit early, but I still feel like this is a good place to stop and a good place to start next week. That gave me a lot to think about. So yeah. Now, I know somewhere down the line there's gonna be some supernatural stuff happening, right? But like, I don't know if she can literally, like, if she's literally gonna be killing things by touching them, which would be insane. Or if this is more of a manifestation of a psychological breakdown. Maybe it's not always like anything she touches dies, but maybe like, and if it is a real manifestation of a power, I wonder if she doesn't have control over it. So she can unintentionally kill things without meaning to. But she certainly has a kind of psychosis going on, some kind of mental block and an interpretation. The fact that she can go into this like daydream state where she's literally washing her hands in the sink whilst having this like out of body like experience, like that beholds a fundamental psychological issue. Now again, is it related to a real power? Not probably, but what's the nature of that power? We'll find out. No spoilers, but we'll get to it. Still very interesting indeed to be able to kind of see this interaction, this breakdown. Again, like, this is part of why, like, I kind of chose the Lucia route, was because we learned so little about her compared to the other girls. Like, even in Chihaya's route, we kind of got to know Sizuru, and we got to know a lot about even Akane. Like, I don't know everything about Akane, and I'm really looking forward to doing Akane's route because I think she's one of the most interesting characters that we've come across in this entire game. But I still got some approximate understanding of their motivations and their powers and abilities. Like, obviously very skewed. I know going down their routes are going to probably be a lot more interesting, and like, I'm definitely going to play those routes and experience it for myself. But at the same time, even then, in the other routes we've done, we knew nothing about Lucia. Now, maybe I would have learned more about her in Suzuru's route. Like, that would make a lot of sense, but still, it's like, it's just the character that we're having the biggest blind spot for in the whole game. And so I already was kind of interested in seeing what she was all about anyway. And that kind of sealed the deal for me when I was like, you know, she's the biggest enigma that we have. So I thought we'd showcase that story and that path because I feel like it fits really well and it's going to help fill in some gaps. And then while I won't showcase Akane and Sizuru, like, it still will be something I'll experience, and then we'll go for the finale, whatever that finale is, and however the heck it works. Because I'm not even gonna pretend like I understand anymore. I'm just gonna go with it. We're gonna experience the true ending together, whatever that is, and however it works. We're gonna just do it, and I'm excited for that. So buckle up, and I hope you're looking forward to it. But now that I'm guessing that we've crossed the threshold into the actual path, now this feels very much like you're on the path. Again, I'm also kind of curious. I might almost like reload right after this and just see what happens if you click the like leave it to Sizuru. Like, will it just lead me down another route or what? Because I feel like what was even gonna happen if I chose that other option? Was it a real choice or what? I'm curious, and I might go check that out really fast. But anyway, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel, for being a part of the journey and being a part of the channel as a whole. If you're a direct supporter, you know, like Patreon, your members, thank you so much. I just released January's Patron Cast, and one of my big goals for this year is to get back into the swing of things of doing a Patron Cast every month. Next month, I know I want to do a kind of a special one where we're going to actually crack open the Muv-Love TSF model that I was able to grab at my local game store for a steal. Again, like that model I was seeing on eBay going for like $150, $200, and I got it for $80 because, and I even talked to them when I bought it because I asked the owner at the store because they got it, and I was just like, hey, do you know if you get any more of these, like at least this line, because I'd love to get a Tekamakazuchi. And they were like, no. And I was like, do you know if you have anything like in the backlog, or because it was like one of those things that's a store with a few branches and they have like a warehouse. It's like, do you happen to know if there's any in a warehouse? I'd happily buy it, and like, you know, you could just bring it here when it comes in or whatever. And they looked up and they said nope. So because it turns out they kind of buy just lots, not lots as in like large numbers, more of like a palette of various typically it's Gundam, but like Gunpla, just kind of models that are mecha models. They just buy them kind of in these large pools from various distribution points. And sometimes they get stuff that comes in that they don't know much about many of the series. Like a lot of them weren't even like Gundam fans. It's just part of the stock they have at the game store, because they tend to focus at this place in like Magic the Gathering and tabletop, like Warhammer and all of that stuff. But they have sections for other things, and they have sections for Gundam. And it just was kind of stuck amongst the other Gundams, and I think they had an Evangelion, Code Geass or Evangelion, like mecha things going on there too. And it just was there, and I just happened to like, I don't even know why I was in the aisle. I just happened to notice it. So yeah, I got it like a year ago. Just been sitting there, so I'm gonna crack it open and like kind of talk for the Patron Cast, but also kind of like look at the model and kind of go over it and kind of share that moment with all of you. So if you're a patron or member, keep an eye out for that, because that'll happen next month. But this month's episode already came out, so go check it out. Anyway, enough rambling about the Patron Cast. I'm just excited I'm back in the swing of it again. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. And even if you're not like you know a member or whatnot, thank you so much for being here and supporting me. Like comments, likes, being watching the video, all of it makes a huge difference. And like it's really, I'm really glad that I could be making content that brings people together with such passion for the game, where it's very clear that you really want to share this journey with me. And even if it makes you upset that I don't cover everything, I get that frustration, and I don't feel maliciousness with your frustration. I feel just a desire to be able to share the entire experience with me. And whilst I've explained the reasoning why I don't do that, it still means a lot to me that you care. So thank you. And until the video watch me, I'll see me next. I'll see you there.